I've said enough. I probably went over. I apologize. But I get to introduce our final speaker of the night, who's going to give the State of the Union address. He's a man who sat behind his computer alone not even 10 years ago. October is the 10-year anniversary. And it was him with an idea. And he acted on it, and then he worked and worked and worked. And after years and years and years, he didn't get that far. But eventually, it started to work. I'll let him tell you his own story. Would you please give a warm welcome to the founder of eXp, Mr. Glenn Sanford. Woo! Get on your feet. Give him a hand, everybody. Good job, man.
I kind of think my job's done. I'm not sure how you follow Brent on stage. From here it's just downhill. But I'm motivated now. I'm fired up. But Brent asked me to talk a little bit about my history and what led up to launching eXp and sort of some of the challenges that we've been that we tried to solve, and we've solved quite a few over the years. And but I'll just kind of walk you a little bit through a little bit of my background. I got into real estate actually in 2002 as an agent on a team, and even leading up to that, I'd been really more on the technology side. I'd cut my teeth in sales, especially in my early 20s, late teenagers years. Sold Kirby vacuum cleaners door to door, so that was, and Brent pointed out that he never stooped that low, to actually sell Kirby vacuum cleaners. But I did that. Then I got into, I was a bit of a geek since I was 12 years old. Had an Apple computer back then, and then I'd been a stockbroker for a while. But really, one of the things that I recognized in really was the early 90s, and as having been a stockbroker, I followed investments, and I used to post my stock picks on Prodigy and America Online. So if you remember that, those were the online services of the day. And AOL actually asked me to actually manage their financial bulletin boards and chat rooms. So I was a contract employee of America Online, and I had given up my being a stockbroker. But one of the cool things that had happened is now AOL gave me this really unique platform. People asked me how I knew so much about stocks, and I ended up saying I used to be a stockbroker, and I literally had people come out of the woodwork saying, if you ever become a stockbroker again, we'd love to open an account with you. So I actually became a stockbroker a second time, and the cool thing about that experience was that I learned the power of really internet marketing, really in the early 90s. And I literally decided never to make a cold call again, which really means I probably shouldn't have done very well in real estate, because a few of us probably have made cold calls over the years. But I really became a sort of an inbound marketer, and I went on to start a couple different companies after that. I built the largest online service in Western Canada called Interactive Cafe. I went on to launch an e-commerce logistics company in 2000, right before the dot-com collapse, and literally became a dot bomber almost the day we got funded. So the company cratered, and so in 2001, I had launched some local websites in a community that I lived in called Birch Bay, Washington, and it's only a community of about 5,000 people full-time, 10,000 during the summer. But I was trying to sell banner ads to a local real estate agent, and his email bounced, and so I called him up and told him his email bounced, and so I fixed his email, so he hired me to build his website. And then he got tired of paying me $60 an hour to work on his website. He was 64, I was 35, and he said, Glenn, you need to go get your real estate license. And at that point in time, I literally said, I need a real estate license like I need a hole in the head. I think that was actually a direct quote back in the day. And he wouldn't take no for an answer, and so he says, what's it going to take? And I said, I don't know, guarantee me $3,000 a month. And then he said, fine, and I was like, oh, crap. And then I said, okay, well, I'm not going to do open houses. I'm not going to wear a realtor pin at the grocery store. I'm not going to solicit my friends and family. I'm going to basically build this online, or I'm going to leave the business. And he actually said fine on all that. And then about 30 days later, he goes, Glenn, how come you don't have your real estate license? And again, I'm still dragging my feet. I really don't want to do this at this point. And I go, well, Hugh, I get paid $60 an hour to study for my real estate, or I get paid $60 an hour to do website development work. And he said, I'll pay you $60 an hour, go get your real estate license. So I got paid $60 an hour to actually study for my real estate license. And that's how I got into the business. I got in sort of very non-traditional, but one of the things that I was able to do was I was able to create some business constraints for my personal business, which I was able to leverage. And so because of my focus on internet lead generation, I ended up being Rookie of the Year that year, not because he was generating leads, but I was generating all my own leads. I was giving him 30% of my commissions, but I was doing everything. I was doing lead gen, working with the buyers. I was exclusively on the buyer side. And we had a 2-year deal, and so at the end of 2 years, 2004 went to KW because of the focus on team building. And I love the Red Book. The Red Book was amazing. If you haven't read it, read the Red Book. If you don't know what the Red Book is, ask your neighbor. They probably know what it is. It's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book by Gary Keller. So it's really, in my mind, the best business book that you can read as a real estate professional, sort of understand the mechanics of building a team and what the economic models are of real estate. And so, so I ended up building a team, but I actually didn't build just one team. I actually, glutton for punishment, which I've been pretty much all my life, I actually launched 5 teams almost simultaneously when I started my first team. So I ended up getting up to 6 teams. And as a result, by my 4th full year in the business, I was in the top 50 nationally with Keller, doing expansion long before there was even the concept of expansion in the Keller system. So I was literally had teams all over the country in 2006. Loved Keller, and I thought it was an awesome model. And unfortunately, some of you know the profit share system, and I had 184 people in my profit share group, but they weren't at very profitable offices, even though we were doing tens of millions of dollars a month in closed business. I mean, it was a lot of business, and so it turned out it didn't pay as well as I wanted to. So I went independent. I went and said, we'll go independent, and so we did. So 2007, we did about 73 million in production, and we ended up expanding to 3 offices. We still had some agents actually with Keller and some sort of some teams that we still were incubating. And then 2008, we were on track to do about 100 million, and then the housing market crashed. And so I learned really quickly the expenses relative to actually running a brokerage in a down market, which is that you don't make any money, you lose money. And I was feeding the business to tune of about 50,000 a month just to keep the doors open. So we quickly closed down 2 offices, ended up skeleton crew on the 3rd, and then during that period of time, in April 2009, we all got together, and one of the agents said, literally said, when do we get our offices back? Because they loved the lead gen models that we had. We were still generating lots of leads. And I said, we're not going to get offices back. We don't know how long the market's going to suck, which was a technical term back then. And we said we need to build a real estate brokerage model that's not dependent on bricks and mortar, because that's the single biggest cost to running a real estate brokerage. And so we really went to the drawing board from April, May, June, and we started to work on what would it take for an agent, and I really had a focus group of 1, which was actually me, and I said, what would it take for me to be willing to leave if I was at another brokerage, that brokerage, and come to work for eXp. And so we just sort of, we mapped it all out. We took all the models, put them side by side. Again, Keller had been the fastest growing real estate brokerage of all time at that point in time. And so we knew we needed to sort of build something that really matched up really well against Keller, Exit. There was another company called Connect Realty that was out there at the time. And of course the Remaxes, the Coldwell Bankers, et cetera. And so we started to model out, the split model, the 80-20 split, no franchise fee, $16,000 cap. We want it to be, once we went sort of nationwide, we want it to be the same thing everywhere. And then the last piece was, how do you build a brokerage that doesn't have any physical space? How do you build collaboration and community so that everybody can feel connected? And one of the fatal flaws of people that had come before us was that if agents were working home office or remote, was that they were effectively orphans in their own organizations. And so that was really one of the things that we wanted to solve. How do we not be orphans? And so an agent asked me in July 2009 what I thought the real estate brokers of the future looked like, and I literally described a virtual world concept. There was some of you may remember Second Life. It was a social network with avatars. And I recognized quite quickly that made zero, like almost no sense from a social network perspective. But if everybody was aligned, talking the same language, trying to actually do the same thing, like actually run a real estate brokerage, actually started to make sense. And that was when the light bulb went off that we should do that. So from July, August, September came around, and I literally told my team that was working for me at the time, and we had about 6 or 7 staff. And we literally told everybody, take your computers home. We're going to all start to work remote, and we're going to log in as avatars. And this is either going to work or it's not going to work. If it doesn't work, then we're all going to be looking for other work. So it literally was sort of a burn the boats behind us, and it was either going to work or it wasn't going to work. And so October 6, 2009, we launched with 24 agents. Now, we actually, it was obviously a struggle in that we were very small, didn't have a lot of capital. We were trying to bring out an entirely new business concept that nobody had ever seen before. But fortunately, I got picked up by Jim Cronin, who's up here in Northern California. He had a thing called Real Estate Tomato, so he had me on a virtual real estate bar camp. Brad Anderson, who was a big guy on Active Rain, who also lives up generally in this area as well, and he ended up doing something on Active Rain, so it created a little momentum, but we grew about 5% a month, literally, and which, by the way, when you start with 24 agents, 5% a month at the end of a year is only like 46 agents. So we're not talking huge growth here, but 5% a month, it took us from 46 to 78 to whatever, and so we get into 2012. And we literally said this really isn't growing fast enough for us to be truly relevant. It was great. We're growing about 50% year over year, which 24 to 48 is it's okay, but it's not gonna really move the needle. And having been involved with public companies back when I was in my 20s, we said, why don't we become a public company? In fact, Brent was talking about 10X, and I had actually attended, it was 2012, I attended a Millionaire Mind Intensive T. Harv Eckert event, and he described the 10X situation where whatever your goal is, you want to figure out what's stopping you from getting there, multiply your goal by 10, solve the problem for that particular goal, and you'll figure out what's blocking you from getting your current goal, and you'll automatically sort of get your stuff by default. And so when I was thinking, how do I 10X this, I realized that one of the things that had been missing for me when I was at Prudential and then Keller was I wasn't being offered any equity ownership really in either at the local level or more importantly at sort of the mothership level. And there was a lot of strings attached if I wanted to become a broker in a franchise system. And so I didn't go that route, but I always thought if I wanted to be shareholder, then lots of other people would want to be shareholders. So we actually went and picked up a public company and actually merged ourselves into it in 2013. And again, 2013, we grew about 5% a month, or about 50% year over year from 2012 to 2013. And 2014, again, sort of the same growth rate. But at the end of 2014, the reason why we became that public company is we wanted agents to be shareholders. So we started to actually distribute shares to our agents and brokers based on various activities. Well, that was really kind of a big pivot point. We just started doing that. It made it out to some people who were influential in the industry, Gene Frederick being the first major person. And literally with the equity piece, he says, nobody's got that. That's a game changer. And so he sold his 5 or 6 market centers. He was a regional owner, actually in Northern California, and he sold his regional interest and came over. And in 2015, after he came over, first year we grew over 100% year over year. And so 2014 or 2015, 16, 17, 18, we had over 100% year-over-year growth. So we went from a trajectory that was going to take us to about 10,000 agents by 2020 to now being over 20,000 agents today, which is it's been just an epic ride. So as an agent, one of the things I recognize, having been a business owner and having built a number of business plans and sat with numerous people, my dad included, who was one of my mentors, I realized quite quickly as an agent that you don't own a business, generally speaking. You have a business that owns you, but if you don't sell, your business is out of business. So the business really owns you. You don't own a business. And as I went through the whole, from agent on a team to being an agent to running a team to running a brokerage, I realized that the asset that I had really wasn't worth as much as the recruiting brochure said when I first got into the business. So, that was one of the things, you can sell your book of business. How many have heard that before? How many of you, show of hands, know somebody who's successfully sold their book of business? One. Okay, and you do. Okay, there you go. So you can sell it, but getting paid is a whole different story. So that really doesn't work really well. So real estate's, generally speaking, this hamster wheel, and I wanted to get off the hamster wheel just like everybody else. And that's so when I think about this focus group of one, I'm going, how do we get off this hamster wheel, and what would be the ingredients necessary to be there? So that's really kind of that was something. And then the other thing that was going on really in 2009, which was really important as well, is that we had really got to a perfect storm. Housing, of course, went down, went in the toilet, but technology, high-speed internet was now everywhere. We probably 2007-ish, we now had high-speed internet in our homes that was probably faster than the internet that you still had at the office. So, so we had, the T1s that were in the office, but at our home we were having 3, 5, 10 megabit connections. Now, I use my phone, it's got a 25 megabit connection. I mean, literally it's faster than most cable internet connections, and I've got it on my phone. So technology finally got to a point where you didn't have to go to the office to get listings, or not listings, but to actually, to get access to listings, upload and do all that stuff. You could literally do it from anywhere. And so that was really, in my mind, the true enabler of really the kind of the model that we ended up building. So, as a public company, obviously, it's been kind of a rocket ride. We became a public company in 2013, but last year we actually uplisted to NASDAQ, and then one of the cool things that we were able to do here in January is we actually rang the bell at NASDAQ, and that was really just a crazy experience. And if you get a chance to watch the video, there's a video before we rang the bell. It's kind of a fun video. So there's a nice little phrase at the end there. So if you haven't seen it, watch it. And you'll get a little chuckle there at the end, because I literally said that went live on the NASDAQ live stream. And when you listen to it, you'll get a kick out of it. So I'm going to just leave that there. But one of the interesting things is that as a cloud-based real estate brokerage, we're really obviously super agent-centric, and we're great for on the staff side as well. And this last 2 years in a row, we actually were ranked one of the top 50 small to mid-size companies to work for. And which is kind of crazy because we have no physical space, so we have no offices to go to. So we're, I always say to people, if you want to create a better experience for your employees, get rid of your offices. And so of course that will save them all the commute time and everything else. But it's kind of cool. And then I was named top 50 CEO. So for the last 2 years in a row as well on Glassdoor. And so these are our agents, brokers, and staff. Again, it's kind of just really cool to be in a place where everybody really loves what we're doing and how we're helping agents and brokers. This last year, we also did a couple interesting acquisitions. So Sean Thomas is somewhere in the room. Oh, he's back there at the back. So he actually developed a really cool app we've been rolling out around the country. It's called Show Me Now. And it's the first true Uber-style showing service for real estate. And it's pretty cool because we can attach sign writers to the listing signs, and consumers can download the Show Me Now app. and they can immediately request showings that will initially go directly to the listing agent, but if the listing agent doesn't take it, it'll literally broadcast to other ready, willing agents in the local market to actually create an instant showing. So it's really cool. It's kind of like Uber in that regard, and we've been getting huge accolades in some of the markets. Nashville, of course, had some really great ones where we literally have launched whole subdivisions where builders have literally abandoned their previous agent relationship and come over to actually list with eXp just because of the Show Me Now sort of cool app. So we purchased that. Sean's still working on building that out and adding more and more functionality, rolling it out in more markets. Eventually, we'll need to get it here. I mean, you live here, Sean. Just saying. And there's a few eXp agents I hear locally. So anyway, we'll get that here. The other acquisition we did last year was a company called Virbela, which is really our virtual world platform for business. And today was kind of a really unique day. How many of you know who Peter Diamandis is? A few folks? Okay, so who's heard of XPRIZE? Okay, a few similar hands? Okay, so anyway, he was the guy that went and got the $10 million prize for the first rocket that was privately owned to go to outer space that eventually got bought by Richard Branson's company to actually do that. And he's got a whole bunch of other things, given over $200 million in prizes to help the planet in social causes. And he's partnered with Ray Kurzweil with Singularity University. Anyway, he did an event in our campus today with some really interesting folks in the Virbela Open Campus. But we're starting to get like this really unique people using the platform. So obviously eXp is the largest single company in the world to actually use a virtual world for business. But we've got Stanford University, we've got the U.S. Navy, we got big e-commerce companies using it, and we've got other companies that are using these virtual technologies to create this collaboration on the cloud like nobody's ever done before. And it's really cool to be able to do because even though Brent and I don't see each other very often, because of these collaborative tools, I don't even feel like when I see them that I haven't seen them. And so it feels like we're all part of just one big ecosystem because of that. So maybe and Brent, I don't know if if you've got any questions or something that you want to sort of touch on, but we're really at a really unique place in real estate brokerage. We're really in this sort of I'll call it platforms versus franchises. And what I mean by that is you've got platforms. Obviously, eXp, I'm going to suggest, is a platform. We're one single brokerage operating in all 50 states. We have no franchises. And it gives us unique economies of scale so we can actually partner and do some really cool stuff. Obviously, you've got some other companies out there, Compass, who's been just throwing money at everybody, are trying to build their platform, and you've certainly got Zillow, and to some extent Keller Williams is a platform. It's still a franchise, but it's a platform. But one of the things I've been thinking about quite a bit in the last year or so, and we're starting to see it. Anybody follow stocks like Realgy, Remax? They've kind of taken a little bit of a nosedive over the last few years, a couple of years especially. And I think one of the challenges that in the face of technology, franchises have a lot of challenges sort of pivoting inside of that face of that technology. So what do you think about, what is, Amazon going to do in real estate? What does it mean to have a cloud-based brokerage that's one platform? And then you've got companies that have an average of 5 years left on a franchise agreement that have certain physical bricks and mortar constraints and have other sort of elements to it. Franchises are going to have a lot of challenges over the next 2, 3, 4 years, and I don't know that they've got a way to get out of that. I think that's, I first of all, I don't want anything negative to go to anyone, to be impacting, but we are in a competitive industry. There's only so many homes, and new models are going to emerge. And I think the franchises are going to have a lot of challenges here over the next few years. So you guys are in the right place, obviously at the right time to sort of be at least exposed to some of the new trends that are going on in real estate. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But Brent.
So I wanted to go ahead and ask you, a lot of people want to know, 5-10 years from now as we're opening up Australia and the UK in the fourth quarter this year. How many countries do you hope to open? I mean, your initiatives over the next 10 years, how many countries a year, or where do you hope to be in 10 years as far as international growth?
Yeah, I think we're just in the process of opening up the UK and Australia. So I think our official launch dates will be in October for those two countries. But our goal would be to open 3 to 4 countries a year. So that will take us to 30 to 40 countries over the next 10 years. And we've got some great people in house to help us with that.
So this is a big deal. There's 208 countries worldwide, best estimates, but the agent broker population at 25 million. And I'm ready for 1 million eXp agents around the world. So again, you guys are at 20. Yeah, give Glenn a hand for that. You guys, there's 21,000. People ask you in 10 years, what was it like when there was just 21,000 agents? And it's so cool. Okay, next question is where, most people know this. We have a lot of guests here, Glenn. The stock awards we acquire and our agent equity program, we're able to buy stock at a 20% discount, a NASDAQ stock. Hard to get that at a 20% discount like clockwork. We're able to do that. But that stock is not an eXp Realty, which shocks a lot of people. It's an eXp World Holdings, which is way better. One of their holdings is the goose that laid the golden egg, eXp Realty. But can you talk to everyone 5-10 years from now, what other ancillary companies do you see that eXp other holdings they'll have, and as those companies prosper, the parent company prospers, and that's what your stock's in. Can you share that vision a little bit? Well,
I guess I have to start that off with all this is forward-looking statements and can't be held against me. Basically, eXp World Holdings obviously is the public company. It's the holding company, and it owns eXp Realty, but it also owns Virbela, the virtual world platform. And as we sort of roll out other verticals, one we talked about in June, and a lot of people got super excited about that at the shareholder summit, and that was a company called Intralend. And so we're going to have the ability for agents to effectively be shareholders in a chapter. There'll be lots of chapters, but in a chapter of Intralend, to be able to have your preferred LOs on the back end to actually get referrals out of their own mortgage company. And so there'll be mortgage, eventually we'll have title and escrow, eventually we'll have some financial services, and eventually we'll have home warranty. So we'll have all of these. Again, since we're so agent-centric, this is not something that anybody has to use. It's similar to everything else that we talk about, which is if it isn't good, don't use it. But if it's great, then obviously use it and take advantage of it. So we want to just iterate around great products and services, but we also think about the idea that real estate is to eXp similar to what books were to Amazon, meaning that we've created a new category of real estate brokerage using a virtual world for business and collaboration tools that we think there are other industries could benefit from over time. So when we think about some of the other verticals that this could apply to, it could be huge. Now, because eXp is growing so fast in terms of realty, all of our bandwidth is focused on realty. But at some point, this thing will start to maybe level off a little bit. We'll get a little bit more bandwidth. We'll find some superstar execs that have built companies like Priceline or whatever. And we don't have anybody from there. So just I'm not saying that particular company, but companies that really scaled big businesses. And we might be able to then sort of slot in some other verticals that could be complementary to the real estate space.
Is it true that we're going to buy Google? Just kidding.
Make a tender offer for tomorrow.
Start a zinger. So I want to hit you with something that we get hit with all the time as agents. I know Noli Williams, who's the famous short sale guy for Keller Williams. If you know Noli Williams, the cowboy hat out of Texas. I mean, he's probably one of the most iconic people at Keller Williams, was told that our revenue share was not sustainable. This company would collapse. You've been hearing this for a decade. It's 10 years later, but anyways. We're on the NASDAQ now, but anyways. And so Sean Kokoska, who's now at eXp, Noli Williams, who's now at eXp, Kyle Whistle, who's going to sell 1,000 homes now at eXp. We could list hundreds of mega superstars, national names that are coming in the next few months. You're like, no way. They're here. They're all coming. They are coming. But they were taught passionately, and I get it, by RE/MAX and Keller Williams and other brokerages, because they're just not going to roll over. The Lakers are not going to say, let's face it, the Golden State Warriors are a fall superior ball club. The Clippers are not going to go, you know what, the Lakers are way better than we are. The Oakland A's are not going to say the Giants. They each have their, do you all get this? So don't be surprised when they're trying to do their best as to why you should not leave Coldwell Banker for RE/MAX. And that's when I left RE/MAX and went to Keller Williams. They did their best to convince me that Keller Williams would destroy my career. Did that happen? No, but I was leaving the RE/MAX kingdom as one of their big stars. So there's a lot of misinformation with eXp. One of them is rev share is not sustainable. Would you address that head on as to why it is sustainable and why we could expect to be here in 10 more years and 20 years?
Yeah, there's a couple of different things. One, a lot of times people will pull up our financial statements where we obviously as a public company, where we have our financials are publicly disclosed. And we've grown a lot over the last, even last year we grew, 7,000, 8,000 agents. So a really, pretty significant number. And yet we, had losses that showed up on our financial statements. And most of that was all attributed to distributing equity to our agents and brokers. So one of my big things and passions has been to actually want agents to be shoulder-to-shoulder shareholders with me as a founder CEO. And so every time we do distribution of stock, it actually counts as an expense against the company when you actually sort of put the books up. So on the flip side, we've been cash flow positive literally since inception. I think once we got past about 300 agents or so, we've generally been cash flow positive, which has been great. But at the same time, rev share has been one of those ones that, if you look at the numbers, it can get a little bit scary to think about what's the amount that we're going to pay out. Now, one of the things, we've been right around about a 50% payout of our company dollar. So 20% so on that 20%, we pay out about 10%. Actually got a little bit above that. Last year it actually got a fair bit above it, but we actually started to administrate the rev share program as it was originally designed. And so that brought it back a bit. But we've actually made a commitment to always pay out 50% of the company dollar in the form of rev share. So I want you to sort of understand that 50% of the company dollar will be paid out in the form of revenue share. At the same time, we as a company are actually retaining 50% of company dollars so we can pay the bills and make investments and those types of things. So we actually made some changes. We actually started in February, did a slight little tweak to the model, and that was with the help of folks like Brent and others to help us just tweak it a little bit, make sure that agents that were just starting on their attraction efforts didn't feel any pushback on the model. So if they got their 5th person or they've got their 10th person, but some of them have fallen out of production, they're still getting paid into the rev share model their first 3 levels fairly quickly. The flip side is those who are big on attraction, they have to focus on keeping their agents that they brought in personally into production. So it actually aligns our agents, attractors, with actually producing agents. And so in order to get sort of paid a little bit deeper, you've got to actually have productive agents to actually get there. The last piece, and this is really, we started in July and August, is literally some micro adjustments every month, up or down, to basically just lock in 50% company dollar rev share payout. So from here on out, we call it a sustainable rev share program, but it's partially to take away some of the stigma around what goes on. Now in February, we would have actually had to increase the amount of payout than we normally would have. In July and August, it's a little bit less, but it's just going to fluctuate somewhere around that 50%, and that's sort of the model going forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Give him a hand. So We're going to open it up for Q&A from the audience in just a minute, but I would like to know who's in the room. I always like to do this. If you drove more than an hour to be here, stand up. We just want to recommend you for driving. That's awesome, over an hour. If you traveled over 2 hours, stay standing. Over 2 hours. Over 2 hours. How about 3 hours? 3 hours? For over 3 hours? 4 hours. 4 hours. Where did you come from? Los Angeles. Good job. Give her a hand. Our broker of record for Reno, Nevada. Give her a hand, everybody. And it's not that they drive slow. There was an accident on 80. That big rig caught on fire. Yes. We heard you ran him off the road. That's why it caught on fire. Okay. Did I miss anybody else? Did I miss anybody? Oh, you flew in? Oh, Mike did. Mike, you flew in from Southern California. Mike Bjorkman, everybody. Give him a hand. The other thing we want to do real quick, if you've sold over 100 homes in your career, stand up. Over 100 homes in your career, stand up. Look around the room. That is pretty awesome. Me too, over 100 homes. How about if you've sold over 200 homes in your career, stay standing. 300 homes in your career, stay standing. 400 homes in your career, stay standing. 500 homes in your career. 600 homes in your career. 700. 800 homes. 1,000 homes. 1,000 homes in your career. All right, you guys up here. We want to know who you are. Come up here. We're going to, real quick, we'll start here. Come up here on this side. We want to know your name and where you're from and how many homes you've sold in your career.
Luigi Caprio, approximately 2,000 homes. Of course, it took 30 years, but...
2,000 homes. Glenn, say hi. And how about your side?
Tom Daves, 7,000 homes, $1 billion in real estate.
All right, congratulations.
I don't even want to say now. My hero, Mike Bjorkman, 40, about just under 5,000.
That's so tight.
Hey, Bob Burton, Auburn, about 2,100. 40 years.
Hey, buddy. Say hi to Glenn. Hey, Glenn. How you doing?
Alan Savage from Grass Valley, a little over 3,000 properties.
They have 3,000 properties up there? Hey, meet Glenn.
Hello. Leslie Henderson from Reno, Nevada, and somewhere around 2,000.
All right, congratulations. Good job, brother.
Kevin Cooper, Elk Grove, 1,600.
All right, good job.
Marguerite Crespillo, 3,500 and counting. And I started out as a Luigi Caprio's assistant.
Wow. And Brent Gove, over 4,000 homes sold in my 23 years. So that's pretty cool. So I want to get on this stage with these guys. So here's the deal. Every single one of these people are going to be in Las Vegas. And we want to have breakfast with you, lunch. We want to hang out by the pool. We want to go golfing, hot air ballooning. Are you going to be in Las Vegas?
When is that, 20th?
Yeah.
Yep, I think I'm there.
I know you're there. So I begged you to be there. And so it's going to be amazing. And so you need to be in Las Vegas. Give these guys a hand. Good job, you guys. Congratulations. Now your pictures. Now real quick, and then we're going to have time for a couple questions only from the audience. But if you've sponsored 5 or more, how about this? If you sponsored 1 or more agents, stand up. 1 or more agents you've enrolled in eXp. 1 or more, stand up. 1 or more, stand up. All right, give them a hand, everybody. That means they've gotten soccer. Stay standing. Now, if you sponsored 5 or more, stay standing. 5 or more. All right. 10 or more, stay standing. 10 or more.
I technically have to sit down. I've only sponsored 6. I'm just...
All right. 15 or more, stay standing. 15 or more. Wow. You guys come on up here. 15 or more. Come over here real quick. Come on up over here. If you sponsored 15 or more, we want to know who you are, where you're from, and how many you actually enrolled in the eXp. I think it's important to recognize you for what you've done. I'd like to know how big your groups are, too. Like, I've sponsored this many. I got this many in my group. If you want to tell us how long you've been here, so where you're from, how many you sponsored, how many in your group. We'll start with Mr. Mike Bjorkman from Valencia, California.
Mike Bjorkman, I've been with the company 9 months, and it's just 23 agents, and the RevShare group is now at 333 this morning.
Congratulations, Mike. You can grab a seat or whatever, since you've already met Glenn, or shake his hand again. By the way, you noticed we started with selling homes. We are all about selling homes. We just also build companies while we're doing it.
So Don Yoakum, I've been in the company, well, officially 9 months, but been working at it for a year, and Tom Daves, and I have sponsored 35 people, and I've got 150.
All right, give him a hand. Good job. Congratulations. Go ahead. All right.
Hi, my name is Jeff from Daly City, sponsored 29, and the group is 49.
All right, give him a hand. Congratulations, Jeff.
Tom Daves sponsored 35 and 135 in the group.
All right, congratulations.
Alan Savage, I've promoted 20 people into eXp, and we are about 35 people right now.
Congratulations, Alan.
Well, I joined the week after Brent did, so I've been 2 years, 9 months. I have 31 personally sponsored, 207 in our group.
Congratulations.
Kevin Cooper, about 6 months. We have 20 people in our front line and 29 total.
Awesome. Congratulations, man.
Vincent St. Louis, 17 personals, 78 total, 25 here.
All right, congratulations.
Chris Okamura, 2 years, 15 personal, and 326 this morning.
All right, congratulations. He's the king of the Hawaiian Islands. I said, which islands? He goes, all of them. I mean, I could see him canoeing over and telling their cousins.
Tess Santos, a year and a half. Super slow, about 72 people.
All right, congratulations.
Frank Crandall, a little over 2 years, 22 people sponsored, and 159 this morning.
Congratulations, Frank.
Stephen Kelly McCarthy, Yuba City. We've been 20 months, we think, 16 on our front line, and 33. Yeah.
Congratulations, you guys. Right on. Well done. So we're going to wrap up today with a couple questions from the audience. We're actually at time, but we're going to take time for a couple questions. So if you have a question for Glenn you'd like to ask, raise your hand. And here we go.
So Glenn, you posted a video, I think, last week on Workplace, and you mentioned that RevShare is personally important to you. Can you explain that?
Yeah, well, basically that's how I get paid myself, is through the RevShare system. So, it better work. That's how I'm getting paid.
Brian Souza, Clovis, California. Touch on the vision for the language as we expand internationally. Right now we have English speaking, right? UK and Australia, but the vision over the next decade is probably to go to countries that no habla inglés.
Yep. So we actually have in eXp, for those in the Latino community, we have eXp Latino. We've been working on, working on going south of the border. So that's probably coming up in early next year. We're still looking for the right leadership group there. As we continue to grow, one of the cool things about Workplace by Facebook, which is pretty interesting, is you can actually have it do real-time translations. So if somebody posts something or what have you, it would actually be translated to English, which is really good for me because I skipped French classes and Spanish classes when I was younger, so I pretty much only speak one language. But so this will really help, and I do have Google Translate, so that helps. Yeah, we'll definitely be going into other countries. We're in Quebec now. Everything had to be translated into French, and so we've got a number of French-speaking realtors there in Quebec.
Hey, Glenn, Scott Brown from San Francisco Bay over here, Vallejo.
You're going to ask me about cryptocurrency, right?
Good to see you again. Yep, Bitcoin, all that. Thanks for all the tips on that. And hey, two questions. My first is I've been moderating with Nicole Thalji out in Texas, the commercial and investing mastermind every week, and kind of wondering when are we going to be really launching the commercial branch or division for eXp, and then also the second, how long are you to be around? Can I take you out to lunch tomorrow? Or?
So I'm actually, Brent's already got me on a breakfast appointment, and then I'm heading straight to the airport. So, and he's got me going till what, 11 o'clock tonight?
Yes.
11,
you do
okay.
sleep.
So yeah. So anyway, Brent is a machine. But what was your question?
Commercial. When's commercial gonna launch?
Oh, commercial. Yeah, you know, we've been looking for really the right leadership there. Commercial for me is like French, so I'm not really. I really understand residential well, and we need to find the right leadership for the commercial to really lead it properly.
So my question is right now the world is open from like 8 in the morning, right? Or 5 in the morning till 5 at night. Is there a goal of having that be available like round the clock or Saturdays, Sundays, or things like that to have extended time available?
Yes.
Yeah. Woo!
All right. Got time for one more question or two. If I see a hand, okay, I'll go over there to Aaron. As I'm walking over, there have been discussions about Germany and France and Mexico as strong candidates. Can I say that?
Yep, and South Africa's in there.
South Africa,
yeah.
And then interesting conversations about a certain country. Do we leave that one alone? It's a big country. Do we go there or leave it alone?
No, I mean we've talked to lots of people from lots of different countries. I mean we've talked to lots of people through Central, South America, lots of Asian countries. So we've talked to folks all over.
How about the one with the capital C?
Yeah, we've talked about that, but who knows what's going to happen there,
Hi, Glenn. Aaron Rawls, Folsom. I had a question. I've seen and heard a couple of rumors about healthcare. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so we're definitely working on it. We're trying to match it up with April next year as sort of the time frame, and that's because we already have healthcare renewals for the employee side of eXp. And we think we have a path to actually add agents to that plan. So we're vetting it out with attorneys and a bunch of other folks. So.
Hi, Jacqueline Anderson with Harmon Real Estate. I'm actually a guest of Mike Cabras. I'm wondering if Red Door is at all on your mind.
Is what on
Red Door.
Red Door?
Is it on your mind? Yeah, it's a mortgage app.
First
on the radar?
I just heard of it just now.
Okay.
But it's now on my mind. It's now on my mind.
So there, yeah, Red Door. I'm just hearing about it now. Me and Glenn, we're clueless. I turned off my news feed. I don't know anything anymore. Anybody else? Final question before we wrap it up tonight? Okay. And Rob, thank you for the work on the cameras and the video. Rob back there is amazing. James, thanks for organizing everything. And Glenn Sanford, thank you for flying in. We appreciate it. Awesome. Give him a hand, everybody. Glenn Sanford. Woo! All right. You good? All right. He'll be around to say hello if you want to come up and meet him. Have a great night.